Why is life so unpredictable? Why do we find it so difficult to lose weight? How medicine has failed us. There is more to longevity than just medicine. And to retire is not to withdraw from life. These are some of the topics and subtopics in the book Roadmap to Longevity by Mario Sequeira. Hello everyone and welcome to the Navin Times Talk from the Heart. Our guest today is the author of the book. He is also a speaker, a coach and an entrepreneur. Hello Mario and welcome to our show.
Hi Maria, thank you for having me here.
The first thing that caught my eye in your book was that we do not have to die of old age. A very profound statement. We do not have to die of old age. How do you go about that?
So you see, there was a study among the many studies that have been done on aging, and there was a study of autopsies of 40 centenarians that were done in Italy. None of these 40, and I'm repeating, none of the 40 actually died of old age. They were centenarians, but none of them died of old age. They were normal. All of them died of some sickness. So I think approximately 60% to 70% of them died of cardiovascular disease, and the rest died of something else, some other complications. But all these diseases, all these sicknesses are exacerbated with age. They're non-existent when you're younger, and as you grow older, they become lethal. So why, if we know that sicknesses happen with age, why don't we do something to delay the sicknesses? Are you understanding? So if we can delay those sicknesses, that you don't have to die of old age. It's as simple as that. None of the centenarians died of old age.
So how do you delay those sicknesses? That is a very crucial question. So he answered it very simply, but now is that tricky question: how do you delay?
Yeah. So you take what is it that most of us actually in today's world suffer from? We reach about 35 mostly without anything, and then start 35 and diabetes comes along, and cholesterol comes along, and then when diabetes and cholesterol come along together, you get blood pressure which immediately follows, and so you have this trio that is virtually killing you from inside. So can we not reverse diabetes? Yes, we can. Can we not stop cholesterol? Yes, we can. So what can't we do?
Very true, we can, but the how can we is that question, because every time, like I said in my introduction, and it is also a topic in his book, we do not have to kill ourselves to lose weight, and it is difficult to lose weight. And why do we find it difficult to lose weight? So let's take your story. Mario's story is very, very inspiring. Mario was a chain smoker, overweight, grossly overweight actually.
Oh, absolutely.
And was having a really hard time, and was in a very bad place at a point in his life. He, however, overcame it all. You have balanced your social life and are leading a healthy life. Mario, how have you gone about doing it? How did you move from that overweight chain smoker who was finding it difficult to move ahead to what you are today, to the Mario that we know, the author, the speaker, the mentor?
You see, Maria, God throws curveballs at all of us. Sometimes we bat right, and we manage those curveballs. Sometimes we just get knocked out. I was lucky. Okay, God was with me. So if you've hit on a raw nerve as far as I'm concerned. So I'm just going to take you off on a tangent for a few minutes.
Right.
I was at the Hilton in Janakpuri in the club lounge, and I just learned that my company had been had become broke because our vice president had cheated us very badly. And so I was in this luxury. No money. I wasn't even sure if I had the funds to pay my bill to exit the hotel. And I had to list, to be brief, I had to list out the assets that I had, and money wasn't one of them. So I had, my assets were friends, my assets were my family, and my assets were myself, right? My friends, I have good friends, right? But my business friends just disappeared. My good friends remained. They're still with me. But you can count on friends only to that much, because all of them have their own lives to live, right? So I was left with family. My family thought, maybe this guy is not competent. He's wasted so much of the family wealth. Maybe we've just trusted him too much, and maybe now it's time for him to sort of take the back seat. And then I had to look at myself. I was 117 kilos. Okay, I could barely do a damn thing myself. And here was I now wanting to resurrect a company that I had driven broke. So, passion in hand and courage in the other, I decided I had to reinvent this guy called Mario Sequeira, repaint the whole picture. That's where I started. And believe me, okay, it's not that I hadn't tried to lose weight, if you're talking earlier. I used to swim. I swim non-stop for 1 hour in the swimming pool. I used to get out and I used to eat. Okay. My friends told me, I have a lot of well-wishers, and they told me, he said, Mario, come on, you're enjoying your swimming too much. Swim a little faster. You need to lose weight, not have fun, right? So I started swimming as if I was being chased by a shark. Believe me, okay. Get out of the pool. Eat. Nothing would happen. I actually would lose 1 kilo in a day and then add another 1 and 1.5 the next day. It was very simple. I was within this 1 kilo, 1.5 kilo constantly, and I struggled. I went to a gym. There was this guy, Andrew. He was a coach. If you're familiar with South Goa in Fatorda, they had the Synchro Hotel, and he had set up this gym there. I mean, he looked at me when I went to him, and he said, how can I help you? So I said, I would like to lose weight. Can you help me? Okay, and he looked up and down and he said, pay your membership fees. And you know, it was as if he was like, what can I do for somebody as bad as you? Anyway, so to cut a long story short, 6 months down the line, when I started off, I couldn't do 3 abs, okay, three sit-ups or whatever. By the time I finished, I was doing 60 sit-ups. But I didn't lose weight. I didn't. Okay.
What was the cause of that?
Because weight loss is much more complex than just food, right? Food is one component of weight loss, but weight loss has to be seen holistically. You have to look at weight loss from the perspective of why do we eat, when do we eat, and what do we eat. So the why do we eat is very important also, because sometimes we eat because we are anxious. Mm-hmm. Okay, very much like when I used to smoke cigarettes. Of course, I stopped this a long time ago. But I was a chain smoker, and I'd pick up a cigarette when I was tensed. Mm-hmm. Okay? I'd smoke it. I would feel relaxed. Never really relaxed me. It was only the stress of not having the nicotine in my body that made me pick up the cigarette in the first place. Just like that, a lot of us eat when we are stressed out because we feel that our mothers are feeding us, or that our fathers are feeding us, or that grandmothers are feeding us. We feel nice about it. And then we also have a lot of sugar, which also makes us feel good. But it doesn't help us. So that's about why we eat. There's a whole lot of hormones that move along in the body which also work on this.
Right.
The when we eat, we're basically hunter-gatherers. Okay. This thing we call our body is a Stone Age body, and we are working in a space age. It's the same body for the last 60,000 or 70,000 years. The same, there's no change. Okay. So, our circadian rhythms are aligned so that we eat most of the time in the morning. But we generally tend to eat more in the evening. Night. Okay. So there was this study done at one of the universities where so the average calorie intake which we should have every day is about 2,500 to 3,000, between 2,000 and 3,000 calories a day. Here there was a study which was done where each person was given only 1,400 calories. It was a study carried out across a period of about a month, if I'm not mistaken. Only 1,400. So everybody who ate was supposed to lose weight. Okay.
Right.
One cohort was given the 1,400 calories in the morning. So they started off with breakfast and they ended up with lunch. So by 2 o'clock, the other cohort was given the 1,400 calories for dinner. And the same 1,400, so it was not that there was a different sort of contents, same food. The 1,400 given in the morning lost more weight, much more weight, than the 1,400 given in the night. This is because our circadian rhythms help us, help our body, the hormones of our body come out, the enzymes of our body are ready at a particular time. So
metabolize the food.
Correct.
And
correct.
That's what you are saying, or
yes.
is another factor in helping us to lose weight. And as Mario has said just right now, that it is not only about food, it is the
yes.
when you consume that.
Yes. So what are we basically focused on is we're focused on what. We're focused on what do we eat. But that what do we eat is only a small part
a small portion
of the bigger portion. And where we get confused, you see this word diet in Greek means way of life. We look at diet only as, again, the what. And it's just not that.
Right. So, like I said earlier, you have been balancing that social life of yours and still living a healthy, everyday daily life. Now, how can you, with your commitments, you're traveling, with the job that you're doing, with the work that you do, there is so much of traveling, there are so many do's that you have to attend to. How do you keep a track of what you're eating and when you're eating it?
Good question. I'd like to go back to my cigarette smoking. I used to enjoy smoking. Okay, let's not get into the technicalities. But at the same time, I wanted to give up smoking. I was desperate to give up smoking. I couldn't. I studied it, I got to know it, and then I managed to get rid of it. Today, if there is somebody seated by my side with a cigarette, I still feel the urge of picking up that cigarette. But I know it's not good for me, and I know it's poison for me, so I don't. Now, why did I go to the cigarette? It's because even when I'm in my social settings, I now make what I call educated choices. It's not a sacrifice, please God. I make the choices because I'm living in a free world. I was in Masai Mara, okay, on a safari, and there were these lions, and there were these stags that were moving in the front of them. The lions were sort of sleeping, for want of a better word, lying down, and there were these stags that were moving in the front of them. Not a lion didn't bother about the stags that were going in the front of them.
That's because their stomachs were.
That's because they were full. But put food in the front of most of us and see what happens to us.
Even though we are full, we eat. And not just that, Mario. For example, we do it in India. We do it all the time. Our parents, our mothers do it. We eat a little bit, and they say, "Have a little bit more."
True.
Or we go to someone's home for a meal, and they are like, "Take one more serving."
You must have more. Yes.
And to say no would be,
True.
It's not right.
True.
But it would be hurting the person's feeling, the host's feeling. So we say, okay, just a bit, and we take that second or the third helping, which we know is wrong, but then we do, right? So what you are saying is, you have to decide. We've all given that choice, what to choose and what not to choose. The choice is always there. So we have to exercise that choice
Maria, if I may give you my own example. So for me to stay without, for me my main meal, ironically, even after whatever I've told you, my main meal is in the evening. Okay, and the reason for that is because we as a family meet up in the evening.
Right.
Okay, the entertainment is in the evening. We meet up with friends, and I've not changed my life. So I enjoy a drink, I enjoy some good food, and it's all in the evening.
Mm-hmm.
But you get so conscious of it that if I am going to party in the evening, I virtually starve in the morning, and I don't even mind it, because my body feels better if I don't eat a hell of a lot during the day.
Mm-hmm.
I don't look at it as, they call it intermittent fasting, but I don't look at it as a fast. And you know, if you really go down sort of history, this is inscribed on the pyramids. So I'm talking of 3,500 years ago. 1/3 of what we eat is what we actually need. 2/3 of what we eat, and I'm saying this with all respect, okay, I mean no malice towards the medical fraternity, but 2/3 of what we eat is to keep our doctors alive. And it's a fact. I'm not talking of to keep the doctors alive, but the fact of the matter is that we need to eat only 1/3 of what we do.
So basically what you're saying is, so not to offend any
No, I'm not. I go to doctors.
Yes.
I have doctors who are my closest friends. I have doctors, and it's because of doctors I am alive. Okay, so I have very close doctors, and I respect them very dearly. But the fact is that we just overeat.
And that 2/3 that Mario is speaking about is what leads, basically, is that what he's saying, is that what basically leads to the disease, the conditions that have become so chronic in today's world.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And that 2/3 that Mario is speaking about is what leads, basically, is that what he's saying, is that what basically leads to the disease, the conditions that have become so chronic in today's world.
Absolutely, absolutely. So and the pity is, you see, in today's world we are talking so much about the afterworld. We are talking about our next life. We are talking about making money. We are talking of buying land and building and bank accounts. But we are not talking about our health of today. We're not trying to figure this part out. We're talking of the future. We're talking of whatever. But come on, yeah, let's think about ourselves.
Don't you think? Correct me if I'm wrong. But don't you think that today that mindset is changing? I find today more youngsters are gymming and jogging and are more aware of their bodies than, you know, during my time, when going to the gym was first and foremost an expensive affair. Not everyone could afford it. So gymming was something that if you had money, then you go. But today you find even people who are not very well to do, for them exercise and the body and health is becoming important. So I think, Mario, somewhere we have realized the importance of that, and we are moving in the right direction.
I totally agree. The only place where I disagree with you is people spend hours and hours in the gym. But you don't need to spend so much of time. The gym is important, but you don't need to spend hours and hours and hours in the gym. There is, if you're looking at health, and this is where information becomes important. In fact, this is why I wrote this book. Okay, if I've written this book on longevity, is primarily to give a holistic view to this thing we call health. So it's neither gymming, it's neither diet, it's the whole picture. So people are looking. These things should be taught in the schools.
That's true.
Because currently what is taught in most schools or told in most schools is look good, be handsome, be beautiful. We are talking of cosmetic beauty most of the time. So the guys go to the gym and they're looking, they're trying to figure out, how do I look? But they are really deep down assuming that good looks is good health. And a lot of the people who walk out of the gym end up with spinal problems because they're just lifting so much of weight that they don't need to.
So what you are saying is that besides the gymming and the food, what we do need to focus upon is when we eat that food,
Absolutely.
how much of the food we are eating,
Absolutely.
and what we need to avoid and what we need to incorporate into our meals.
Sort of. But there's much more to it.
Yes, these are just
Yeah.
the salient points.
Yeah.
These are just the pillars as such
Yes.
of
Yes.
good health.
I think the first pillar of good health, okay, is to understand this one very basic foundation. It's not normal to grow old. Okay, if you can understand this one basic statement, that it's a very controversial statement. By
It
the
is.
way, okay, it's not normal to grow old. Now, what happens once you start questioning that it's not normal to grow old? You begin to realize that maybe I could do something about this. And then it's about what can I do about it? So now you look at a situation where we are saying, okay, it's normal, yeah, you're 40, okay, you're bigger 50. Now when you're 50, this will happen, that will happen, you're 60, okay, but it's 65, you retire and off you go. No?
Sadly, it is in India. It is not
No,
65. It's earlier.
Absolutely,
which
58,
is sad.
somebody retired the other day, at 58.
It's very sad. That's
And then
very
you're
sad.
let out to pasture, right?
Right.
But the minute you say it's not normal to grow old, you're saying, okay, I am 65, but what the heck? Why? Because 65 is your chronological age. But what actually makes you old is not your chronological age.
It's your biological age, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. You hit it. It's your biological age.
The cell age.
Yes, it is the
About the
senescence.
cells.
It's the senescence of the cells. So if you can keep at bay the senescence of your cells, then you made it. So there's a study in Italy. Okay, it's done in Spain. Sorry, at the Sapienza University. There is this lady, Elisabetta Barbi, this scientist, and she has actually projected that if you pass through the treacherous 90s and you get into the 105s, that there's actually a 50% chance that you would survive the next year. Okay, but that itself gives the human being 100% chance of being immortal.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just extending this to another level. So we are not talking of immortality here. Please God, I'm not talking of immortality. But there are theories, because all that we need to do, and all that we need to know is that it is not normal to grow old. That's all. So if our students, if our youth who go to the gym begin to question this, and are being told it's not normal to grow old, they will probably move away from the cosmetic side of health
Mm-hmm.
to the more foundational side of health.
I'm sure after this interview, viewers are going to incorporate maybe some of the things that you are saying, and even pass on this information to our youth, that there is much more to health than just a cosmetic touch up.
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely.
Right.
And it's not that they don't want to. They want to. They are looking at health, but they don't know, because there's nobody who's guiding them in the right direction. Not because people are wrong, but just because we are victims of victims. You see, our parents told us what was good, and that was based on what they knew. And then you have things like sugar which come along.
Mm-hmm.
Sugar was a rich man's sweetener, right? So it became a prestige to incorporate sugar into our meals as it became cheap. And so we got hooked onto sugar, and like this we got hooked onto so many things in our lives without realizing that they're just holding us back. So information needs to get to our people about health, and unfortunately our schools don't give any information regarding how to grow up. You don't build a building from top down. So if we are constructing to live to 100 or 120 or whatever, even if we are constructing to live to a healthy 80, it starts at the ground floor. It should start at the school level.
Even ground floor, I think before the ground floor you have to have, in Konkani we say bunyad, we need to have the foundation.
Yes.
So we need to dig a little
Correct.
deeper. That's a fantastic analogy, Mario, because if you have to build a strong structure, not just a house, any structure, you need to make sure that the foundation is right. Our schools are doing good jobs as far as teaching children about health is concerned, but I think like Mario says, that there's a little bit of fine tuning that is required, because once children, and as young as they are, realize the what to eat, the when to eat, and that there is so much more to health, I think that change is definitely going to happen.
True.
Right?
True.
Mario, let's take a short break. Let us come back, and Mario's going to be speaking to us, because I have so many questions about longevity. He's already started speaking about it, but there's much more to longevity. There's much more to growing old. So let's take a short break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Hello and welcome back to the Now in Time Talk from the Heart. We are in conversation with Mario Sequeira. He is the author of the book A Roadmap to Longevity.
Very proud to project it, sorry.
Yes, of course. We have been speaking about health, we have been speaking about food and how we can keep old age at bay as long as possible. Mario has much more to share with us, so stay tuned. Mario, in India, like you rightly said, the retirement age is 58. For some people, that is like a death sentence. It's like too early to retire. Some, of course, look forward to it because they must have started very early, or they're, not, I'm not sure, but I'm just saying that in my opinion, maybe they do not like what they're doing, the jobs that they're doing, and they just want to finish off with it. Would you say that 58 or even 60 for that matter is an age that people should retire? Shouldn't they be given an option? Like in the West, they have, I think it's 65 in some countries. What do you think about this?
We need to go through the history of retirement. Okay, how did this thing called retirement start and when? So in the 1880s, there was this German chancellor who was fighting for elections, Victor von Bismarck, if I remember well.
Victor von Bismarck.
I think that was his name.
Okay.
Anyway, you can check it out. I'm giving you facts. Okay. And he was going to lose his election. He was fighting with his back to his wall, to the wall. It was also around the time that the first industrial revolution was starting, around more or less around the same time. And the communists came to him, and the communists told him, because of the industrial revolution, there are so many of our people who are currently unemployed, sort of, because they couldn't keep pace with the machinery. If you will give them an honorarium, they will be able to leave their jobs and stay at home. So if I remember, in 1883, Germany, this chancellor, he agreed to this honorarium for those who were 60. I think it was 65. Okay, we're talking of 1883. Fast forward to 1936. And President Roosevelt in the US was also in this. It was the second industrial revolution that had actually got a lot of old people injured. In the old days, they used to treat their old with a lot of, even today we do, but at that time it was even more. passion and love and whatever. So they never really retired. If you're old, you would just come to work and you do your stuff and you'd go back. But now the machine speed had increased even more. So the old were getting injured, but they didn't want to leave their work because they didn't know what else to do.
Right.
So Roosevelt was forced to come out with a social security scheme. 1936. 65, if you retired, you got so much on a monthly basis. This was about a century ago, 65. At that point of time, in the 1900s, the longevity, the life expectancy in India, average life expectancy was 25 years. Okay. Today it is 75, it's gone up 3 times. But our age of retirement is still 60 or 65.
So don't you think that option should be given?
100%. I just think this whole system is pretty skewed. The not getting into politics, but I think probably if the option is given, a lot of the olds may not want to give up, which may in turn create a problem for the youngsters to get jobs. So probably this retirement age is more about economics than about health.
So
it's always been that, actually.
So there is a lot of thought that has to be given, and I think the people who are in power need to bring in experts from all areas and then put their heads together and come up with something, right?
So that is one aspect to it. The other aspect, Maria, is if when we retire, we understand that retirement is not really the old age concept of being set off to pasture. But retirement can actually be the beginning
of a new chapter.
Absolutely. So at the end of one and the beginning of a completely new life. So if we plan something like this and we are saying, okay, I'm 60, wow, in another 5 years I'm free, but not free to holiday. Because you can holiday only for some time.
Yes.
You can holiday for 1 month, 2 months, 6 months. And then a holiday
and
becomes,
then, yes,
absolutely.
it just jars.
Correct.
You don't know what to do next.
Correct. You see, and what is the reason for that? The reason for that is that we're all brought up with a system of supports, right? You know, you have to get up at 6:30 in the morning because you have to be at office at 8. So you don't get up at 7. You need to be at office at 8. At office, you meet all your friends. You know, at 10 o'clock, you'll have a cup of coffee, or at 11 o'clock, you'll get this. And your life is, our lives are pretty much structured.
Yes.
When we retire, all those structures collapse.
And
we
you're
don't have
left,
structures.
And I know from experience, I've seen people, and they really don't know what to do. Believe it or not, it's a sort of disintegration,
Yes.
not physically, but mentally, emotionally. They just don't know what to do the next
So
day.
true.
I've seen my family members, very close to home, and I really wish that there was an opportunity for them to work in meaningful ways, maybe in other areas.
Absolutely.
I don't know.
Absolutely. So this is another thing that sort of also ages people. You look at somebody retiring at 60, strong, able-bodied, strong-minded, strong-willed, and look at the same person when he's 62, 63, he's sort of a little down. By 65, he's looking as if he's 75. And it's only because there are no structures. Then I know, and it's lovely, it's wonderful. I know a lot of grandparents who take it upon themselves to dote and to bring up their grandchildren. It's lovely. I'm not taking anything away from that. But then again, once that grandchild is old enough to go to school or old enough to reach college, then he says, "Granddad and Grandmom, I love you all very much, but I need my freedom."
True.
And then the granddad and the grandmom have nothing to do all over again. Right?
Yes.
No structures, no support systems.
We need a plan for those. We're all growing older. We need a plan whereby we know what we are going to do. I think that is the first step. That after I retire from this job, what if I have something else to do?
Maria, I'm not thinking like that.
Okay.
I am thinking, my thinking says that, see, I'm talking longevity.
Yes.
Okay? And I'm talking retirement and longevity.
Right.
Now, evolution keeps our cells functional. This is a fact, scientifically proven. And everything I say here today is documented by Nobel laureates and great scientists from around the world.
Right.
Okay? It is a fact that evolution helps our cells survive and grow and reduces the senescence if the cells within our body believe we have a reason to live. Okay? So what happens when we retire in the very traditional way? A message is also sent to our cells कि काम हो गया अभी, now there is no need of ये हो गया, now we can sort of start shop, we have finished, now we've reached the sort of pinnacle of our lives. And so essentially it is important, if we are talking longevity, it is important that we keep our minds and our beings happily motivated. Now when we trudge along after retirement, rudderless, no idea what we are doing, no idea where we are going, nothing important to do, no adrenaline coming, no challenge in our body, in our mind, in our soul, our body says, our cells say, okay, time to go. You know, so we start aging even faster. That's what I'm talking of. So I'm talking of longevity.
So that is what I was saying, that before we retire, we need to have a plan in place, because Mario, you don't want to wake up one day, you have a farewell party at the office or wherever you're working, someone cuts a cake and it's all lovely, take pictures, and when you go home, you are so depressed, not everyone, and you're like, oh my goodness, what am I going to do? So that is what I was saying, that if we have a plan and we know exactly what we are going to do, Mario has said it right, I believe that as well, that just because you retire does not mean that's the end of it. It just means that there's a new chapter that's beginning, but for that new chapter there has to be some planning, like we do with our savings.
Yes.
We do it with our savings.
Absolutely.
We plan for our retirement. We have, an amount kept aside, and in the same way, I think there has to be this time kept aside for us to do something, and something that not only that we enjoy, because now I can choose and pick and choose things that I enjoy doing, and it is productive in some way.
True, very true. So Maria, coming back again, now you just imagine how wonderful life would be if we could reach 60 or 70 or 80 without things like diabetes, cholesterol, high blood pressure to just drag us down.
Yes.
So what happens when you reach 60, 70, 80 with these three monsters? You have to, all your earnings are now going into medical bills, rather than getting yourself into figuring out, okay, now I'm free, I don't have to go to work, now let me live my dreams. My dreams can be making something.
Correct.
Okay. But now I've got this still very niggling high blood pressure, I've got my diabetes threatening to go off gear, and I'm feeling weak, and I've started trembling. So that's again where longevity is important, where we need to look at ourselves from the beginning and see what we are doing regarding our health, and understanding that it is not normal to grow old.
So we need to start taking care right from the beginning.
Yes.
So when we reach 60 and 65, and actually, Mario, it is happening that diabetes, cholesterol, heart problems are not happening when we are 60 and 65. They're happening much earlier.
Yes, because people think it is normal. But Maria, let me give you a statistic. Okay, I'll tell you how serious diabetes is, but we just take it for granted. During the entire Afghanistan-Iraq war, which the US had with Afghanistan and Iraq, 1,500 American soldiers lost a limb. Okay, I'm repeating, during the entire US, Iraq and Afghanistan wars, 1,500 American soldiers lost a limb. During the same period, 1.5 million Americans lost a limb to diabetes.
That's scary, isn't it?
We just take diabetes so much for granted. And the beauty of it is that 90% of, so see, diabetes is broken up into two parts, right? Type 1 and type 2. The type 1 is more difficult. It's much more difficult because that's where your body doesn't give you enough insulin.
That's autoimmune. Yeah. I mean,
yes.
I am interrupting, but we had a diabetologist
right.
who said that is autoimmune.
Yes.
That nothing can be done. But the diabetes type 2 is where we can definitely go into remission.
There you are. So, but we so take it for granted that, you know, this we'll have this tablet and we'll eat whatever we want to eat, we can do whatever, we can drink whatever, and so I'll have this tablet. Then one tablet becomes 2 tablets, and then you're still, and then suddenly you get injured, and that injury doesn't heal, and then one goes all desperate. So if we can keep these little monsters under control, now we blame our ancestors. So I say, oh, my mother had diabetes, so what can I do? I've got diabetes. My father, he had cholesterol and diabetes, so my mother had diabetes, my father had cholesterol and diabetes, I have to get it. But none of this is in our genes. Please understand. None of this is in our genes. And let me tell you, we have control over our genes. So if we can understand that first, life is not, to grow old is not normal. 2, we have control on what happens to us because we control our genes. We control our genes. Okay? I'm not using wrong words here. We control our genes. So we can control the monstrous ones that come up, and we can turn them off. Life should be a bed of roses.
Right. You know, you're speaking about genes, and I remember this happened. This is a real incident that happened, that one of my neighbors, her mother is overweight, is broad, and she too turned out like that, and it was taken for granted. Her mom's like that, so she's like that. And then one day suddenly she decided that she got diabetes, and she said she was having a very tough time, and she said, I need to do something about it. And that was the day she decided to take things in her hand. She not only started yoga and meditation, she also started on natural food, gave up a lot of things like oil and sugar. And you will not believe it, Mario, she was broad. And we thought we say, you know, that's a bone structure.
Right.
You're born with that, you can't do
Right.
anything. And suddenly I noticed that bone structure was not bone structure, it was, I suppose, she was overweight.
Right.
And she became half her size, the hips and the waist, everything reduced. So what I was thinking is, and what she was thinking is, that it is genes, and these are my genes and it's genetic, I can't do anything. She changed it herself.
No, absolutely. I was 27 kilos heavier. Okay. And a lot of my family is fat and obese. It's not that. So the minute we know that we are in control of our lives, and we know that there is a road, then we go searching for that road. We go searching for that path. So if the minute we believe that it is not normal to grow old, we have control on our lives, then the next normal question is, what can I do? But the minute we say it is normal to grow old, then we say, okay, yaar, kya karu yaar, bechara, to my father, he had this, my mother, she had that. I am also going to go down the same road. What's the point? Might as well drink, eat, do what we want, make merry. And I mean, is that merry?
And take pills.
And take pills. Absolutely. That's the most important thing.
I know.
Because that's what's going to keep us ready for the next day, right?
Right.
So,
Mario, you just spoke about roads, and his book is a roadmap to longevity, and there are lots of roads. Sometimes the roads are there right in front of us, but we cannot see them. But I also believe in this saying, and I think it's a truth, that when the student is ready, the master appears.
Right, true.
So when
Very
you
true.
are ready, you will see that road. And Mario's book, I think, is a must read, because he has very simply and clearly explained so many of the questions that we all have about longevity, about losing weight, and many more topics. Mario, thank you so much. It was such a pleasure speaking with you. We have learnt a lot. I'm sure the audience agree with me that there's so much you have shared with us. What is the one thing you would like to say to our audience before we say bye to them?
Just know that it's not normal to grow old. I think that's the most important thing you can take away from today's talk.
Right. Thank you. And to our audience, thank you for your time, your attention, and your patience. Until next time, take care, and bye from all of us here, from Mario, from Go 365 TV, and from the Navin Times.